Welcome to another episode of Caps and Cards 716. I'm Spidey J18, and we are joined today by a very special guest and also the regular TJ. Hit it off.
TJ North Shore Fitted here. We're joined today by the great John Bear. I'm going to kick it over to John here.
Greetings, salutations.
And John, do you have a Instagram that people could look you up on?
I do. Interstate 19 at Interstate 19.
Perfect. Yeah, and we will leave that in the video for anyone that wants to look us up after the show. And well, let's just get into the beating, shall we?
So we want to talk about the Brewers first, right? We'll talk about what happened with the Brewers on Saturday.
Yeah. So the first hit we got here.
Oh, you want to do that, huh?
That's how we do. Yeah, it's a combo wombo. So we got Corbin Burns.
This Corbin Burns auto, rookie card, chrome.
I got all my Corbin Burns.
I know you have the whole starting lineup signed.
Oh yeah, I do. And then I got my haters. I had to get this one because he's swinging a bat, and I'm just like, why is this card made? It's very unusual. It's just something that we had to do. And so they no-hit the Indians, combined no-hitter. Burns had about 113 pitches. Hader did it in 9. And then another 6 innings today, which I was really pulling for Lauer there. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah. Third time the Indians have been no-hit this season, the fourth. You were there for the one with the Rays, right?
I was.
The unofficial no-hitter, because it was only 7 innings because it was part of a doubleheader.
They crushed him too. It was just unheard of. And we have a great poll from our Project 70 orders. We got the Acuna Jason Mass by Jeff Staples. And this one is number 21 out of 70. That one's going to be hard to see, but it's on there right up here in the corner. And our last surprise before we really get rolling here is we hit our third home run challenge. Mr. Joey Gallo, welcome to the club. Number 623 out of 718. So a lot of people were banking on him this time. So very exciting to have these three. I know we got a big meet Pete Alonso on the way. And I can't wait to see how many more we get. Finish the season out.
So I wanted to recap some of the NFL games that were on this weekend. I know for all intents and purposes, your team's the Bills. I'm the Pats. John, you're the Seahawks, presumably, because of the Seahawks jersey.
That's my team. Go back here.
I want to talk about some of the big surprises this week. One of the big surprises was Trevor Lawrence's debut. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Not so great. Doesn't have a lot of surrounding cast, so we'll have to see how he does. This is his first loss in the regular season ever, whether it be college and high school.
Very exciting, though.
I want to talk about another big surprise. It was the Saints. The Saints, they spanked the Packers.
Yeah,
5 touchdowns. I did not see that coming. This is a cool cap, too. This is vintage.
Neither did Winston with his 30-30 vision. Oh, yeah. Show them.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I love these old Wolf fitteds. The one I'm wearing is Philadelphia. Phillies, same thing, 90s. Diamond collection. And the jersey I have on is a fullback from 94. This is a retail authentic that's possibly team issued. This is here when the Phillies' only win was against the world champion 49ers.
Yep.
Pretty cool jersey.
Is the name on there, TJ?
No, because that's why I'm thinking it's a team issued and not just like a player, like a retail authentic, because retail authentics would have a name on the back. And there's double stitching on the back here, on the back plate of it.
Yeah, that's always a pretty good indicator. So, John, your favorite game of the day or anything that really shocked you?
Well, there were a lot of nail biters, a lot of close. There were some good comebacks. Games that you didn't think were going to be close that ended up being close. I thought the Atlanta was one that I thought was really interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine about, he's a big Falcons fan, and it was like the whole Julio Jones trade. It's like, did that really even make a difference? He didn't really do anything for the Titans either. But
The other thing with Julio Jones is he really hasn't played the last couple of years in Atlanta. So trading him was kind of the best thing for them because he wasn't being used, and Calvin Ridley's come on the scene and been so good for the Falcons and the chemistry of Matt Ryan that he was basically the second fiddle.
Yeah, but it's for me though, and and to throw a baseball analogy into this, I'm not a Falcons fan by any stretch, but I kind of pay attention to those sorts of things, like when a team loses a player that's really beloved by the community. It's like being a Rockies fan. I love Nolan Arenado, but it makes me happy that he's gone to St. Louis, and I know they're in the thick of the wild card, but they're not blowing the cover off the ball or anything with him, and so it's kind of like that kind of makes me happy a little bit that he's not having the success that everybody thought that the Cardinals would have with him in the fold. So it's kind of the same thing, I guess, with the Falcons, but that was just just a terrible start for them. The 49ers, they
Yeah.
That was
I was laughing so hard at that. The linebacker catches the interception and he stops by Goff and he goes, "Peace, bro."
the highlights from that game. I was at work. I was listening to the Bills and Steelers. I had the radio going because the Patriots were 4:30 start.
I was trying to watch the Bills game, but I had the Brewers on my phone because I was like, man, already 4 no-hit innings. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Devontae Smith really come on the scene. That Heisman winner, he really made a difference for them with Zach Ertz, taking some pressure off of Hearns.
But I stopped. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he said Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to finish about the 49ers. I stopped paying attention to that game because it looked like it was just a blowout. And then, come to find out the Lions almost came back.
It was a big defensive game for them. It wasn't like the Buffalo game by any means where I felt like it was just a flag game. Yeah, I know. Here we go.
Yeah.
Every play would be like, there's yellow on the field. I'm like, that's neither team's primary color. So why are we doing this? Let the boys play. Here we go. TJ's already got some shit going.
But for me, NFC West, everybody starts off with a win. That's not the start I was hoping for.
Got the Terry Bradshaw. On that. Korean run, and then I have that lids hat that you picked me up, John. The 2004 patch and the Steelers yellow UV. I had to get this one because I had the Roethlisberger jersey. That's why I really wanted this one, because the 2004 patch. Because that was the year he made his rookie year. He didn't make the Pro Bowl that year though.
They did the Bills one with the 98, but it's white, and I'm anti-white, so it wasn't.
Yeah, I can't do white hats either. I always don't. I never wear them enough.
Who was was Wentz even playing today? Yeah, he was. Oh my god. But then we had the Panthers and the Jets, the battle for the former New York quarterback, and Darnold actually came out pretty strong. And I was pulling for them the whole game, not because the Jets are a division rival, just because I wanted to see a player take on his own team and really just give it to him.
Well, they have Robbie Anderson, who we had such great chemistry with, and the Jets just let him walk. They didn't want to pay him. So I knew he was going to do well going there because he has a big weapon in Christian McCaffrey.
That was one of the biggest plays of the day, Darnold to Anderson. And I think he had to do with the sign as well because he burned him.
Well, the Jets have always been rebuilding since Namath, basically.
One of the big topics though today is that like these guys like Herbert, they threw 55 passes. Hurts threw almost 50. All these young guys, they're throwing 50 to 60 passes, and they're not going to be able to sustain that. That's not going to be a winning formula in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of an air league. I think the running game, it's good to have a nice running game, but if you have a quarterback who can sling it and keep going, that's how the Chiefs rolled all the way to the Super Bowl the last 2 years in a row.
I mean, even if Lawrence had Etienne with him, he still has no power back to get him through a 3rd and 2 or 4. These teams don't have big guys.
The offensive line for the Jacksonville is really bad too.
You know, you don't want to judge a quarterback, especially somebody, Trevor Lawrence, off of his first game. I mean, there are dozens of examples, you know, and I would say based on his first game, that I think it's nothing but good stuff for the Jaguars. Let's look at the Bills, you know, with
Allen.
Geez, Josh Allen. Yeah, he played for Wyoming, for guys. I mean, that's Wyoming's my college team. You know, I mean, I think about his whole journey, you know, and I was so excited that he was going to I've always been a closet Bills fan anyway. So I was excited that he got drafted so high and was going to the Bills, and just all the crap that Bills fans gave about that pick. Well, it wasn't just Bills fans; it was everybody. You know, just bad.
I wanted the Patriots to draft him when we had the chance. If he was available, the Bills took a couple picks ahead of him.
I was like, oh, you guys just wait. You know, I watched this kid play. You know,
I remember watching that game where he scored 100 points when he was with Wyoming. That's what put me onto his radar. Because a lot of those West Coast games I don't stay up to watch for college. I mainly watch like BC and the SEC, like Bama.
That's where you're missing out, because I stay up late watching like Oregon, where Herbert was just thriving, putting these 2-minute drills together. And I'm like, whoever gets this kid, whoever, like, and then you have like the Eckler and the injury prone. And, you know, I'm like, I don't know if they're going to make it to the top because of injuries.
Zach Wilson, he was with Washington University, I believe, right?
Yeah, all these guys, they're West Coast guys. Like these late night games, I got roped into a game last week, and I ended up staying up till about 3 a.m, just getting. It was just like it was like Washington and Hawaii, and I'm just like, I don't even care.
It's always the big rivalry games that draw me in, like the SEC has those big rivalry games, interstate rivalry games. I like to watch for college football. My grandfather was always partial to Army because he served. So I always like watching Army. The Army-Navy game is a big tradition in our family. We watch the Army-Navy game.
Well, TJ, I got to piggyback that one, because when Army played at UB here, I've never heard so many boos when the players ran out of the tunnel. I was a season ticket holder. I stood up. I went to the Army tunnel to throw my hand over the wall and, you know, get high fives and whatever. And my season ticket holdership was booing these guys. And I was like, for what? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I thought we were a football town, you know, through and through. But like at the end of the day, you know, these guys are going to serve. Like, I can't stand by that. So I went and sat on the Army side.
Well, yeah, they go to serve 4 years after they have to do a 4-year commitment after the military, with the military. Sometimes they get a deferment if they get drafted, like that Patriots long snapper.
Yeah.
They let him in the off season. But like old guys like Staubach, didn't he do a tour in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Before he went to the Cowboys?
I mean, and you even had guys during World War II that would leave, like the Mantles and Ted Williams, and they just left, and they're like, we'll be back in a couple of years. Like, you're not going to see that anymore.
You can't even imagine somebody taking 2-3 years off in the prime of their career, you know, and then coming back and not only almost picking up talent-wise where they left off, but in a lot of cases, even exceeding where they were before they went off to war. It's a different era. You can't even.
I had one example here. 2001, Pat Tillman. Although he never got to come back because he passed away, friendly fire.
Right.
He dropped everything after 9/11 to serve his country, and that's something that's like the foundation, everything like that. I support. I've done the runs and stuff before, marathons and stuff that they do around Boston for their foundation, stuff like that. It's just like an inspiring story. It's like an outlier. A guy walks away for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
To go serve his country. The Patriots were real close to signing him because his Army contract was almost up. And who knows what would have happened? That would have been in the prime of our Super Bowl runs. We probably would have went after Rodney Harrison.
Yeah, I think it started on like an After Dark or something where it really started, like it piqued my PTSD. Someone had mentioned the Boston Marathon, and that touched me personally because my uncle had finished the marathon 10 minutes before those bombs went off. And, they were joking about it and having a jolly good time. And I was over here like, you didn't get affected then. So
well, I live right. John knows this because he visited here in July. I live like 30 minutes from the city. So I was stuck because I take the train to get around. I was stuck at my friend's house because everything got shut down. They shut down everything. They even shut down the highways around here after the marathon bombing.
It's crazy.
They shut down like the whole city for like 2 days. Craziness.
I don't remember what cap company did it, but they actually redid the Boston Marathon hat and they put the runner's tag on the side of the hat, and it looked way better than the actual city edition that come out because it was like some UCLA Bruins stuff. But they made it look a lot more like an actual tribute and less like just a fashion uniform. I'm thinking like an EB Lens or a locker room with Downey, maybe.
I don't think it was locker room. I think it was one of those independent shops in New York.
I don't think it was in New York though. Maybe. But it did look a lot better. Like it had the runner's pass, like the tag they wear. The Mets just took the lead. The Yankees were on the edge of the dugout again because they're like, So what's going on here with the Raiders?
Monday night we got a killer matchup here. So they're playing. I think they're playing in Vegas, correct?
Yes.
They were playing Ravens. I got this Ray Lewis Reebok helmet tag authentic, and I have on Charles Woodson, who's one of my favorite players. He was a defensive stud. He's well known for the Tuckville game. He's the one that stripped the ball from Brady, and he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame this year for football with Peyton Manning.
Very cool.
This was one of my favorite jerseys, the Raiders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the strip cap.
Easy E style.
What was it? Yeah, I definitely need that one. I got this was the other hat I like wearing with this jersey, even though it's hockey. The Los Angeles Kings.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted this one specifically. It doesn't really come out here, but all of this threading is metallic silver.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the one from the team store. Right?
What's that?
That from the team store?
Yes.
Yeah, that pops.
Pops. I remember trying to get that when I had someone out there.
John, do you have the Oakland one too?
Yeah.
Did you hear about did you see the thing last year when John Gruden came out with the wrong hat? And then somebody had to tell him. He's like, he's standing there calling plays, and everybody's like, the announcer's like, you think he knows he has the wrong hat on?
The move to Vegas, I think from a sports franchise perspective, I think is the most brilliant relocation possibly in sports history. It's absolutely genius. And living where I live, because I live about halfway between LA and Vegas, and knowing the fan base that the Raiders have in Southern California,
yeah, I'll travel.
I know no Raiders fan that was they didn't a lot of them didn't want the Raiders to come back to LA when Vegas became an option, because you figure you build the stadium in Vegas. Now you're not just going just for a Sunday, you're going up Friday night. And you guys living in the desert, we got one interstate that goes to Vegas, and you do not want to be on that interstate on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon because it's just backed up for miles. But you go to Vegas on a Friday, you're up there for the whole week, and you catch the game on a Sunday. You basically you're taking a one game and turning it into an entire weekend. I mean, it's brilliant, brilliant move.
Well, that begs the question: how do you feel about the A's
moving to Vegas?
Yeah. I mean,
you figure with the Knights and the impact that they had. Now you got the Raiders and the impact that that's having. I think baseball going there. I think it's a natural progression. And the A's.
There too.
What's that?
Already have Oakland already has their AAA affiliate in Vegas.
Yeah,
they are there. Previously the 51s, but it's not a huge stadium. Like when Buffalo was built, it was built for the Expos. That top roof, that green roof, when they take that roof off, there's actually seats under there. I've seen the inside of that they could just move that roof and there's a whole nother layer. That's 10,000 seats.
That's the cool thing about Vegas, because it's a desert. There's plenty of space to add on to stuff. Unlike on the East Coast around here, where it's like properties at a premium.
Up.
If you want to build a property around here, you're going to spend tens of millions of dollars to pick up just the property alone before you even start construction.
Well, the Aviators, that's kind of on the outskirts. It was the same thing with the 51 stadium. It wasn't like it was downtown or on the Strip, whereas where T-Mobile and whatever they call the Raiders call their stadium, Reliant Stadium or whatever it is. Not Reliant, that's Allegiance, thank you. They're right on the Strip. So I don't know if you can squeeze a baseball stadium in there or not, but good God, do you imagine the back?
T-Mobile's right there, right? T-Mobile's like right on that Strip.
Yeah, Vegas is on my bucket list. I definitely want to go out there for a hockey game and maybe catch a Raiders game.
Where you put a baseball stadium except on the outside. I mean, it doesn't make sense to build in the stadium in that Strip area.
Exactly. Yeah. Because
they always offer like a shuttle service, especially if you're staying at some of those hotels.
But from an economic standpoint, you want baseball there, but how do you put it on the Strip when all there is casinos and everything down like Broadway?
City and casinos will want it done because it's going to attract more people into the thing. Unlike Oakland's not going to help fund the stadium. That's what it comes down to. The Coliseum's falling apart.
If they can find a way to do it, though, to get a stadium, could you just imagine, if they have the Strip, they got a night game and you got the Strip in the background, overlooking left center field or something like that. I mean, that's just you're not going to. That's going to be an unparalleled view for Major League Baseball. And they can find a way to do it. Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's great. And Oakland fans can hate me all they want, but it wasn't your team to begin with.
How did you feel about?
That was also when they tried to move the Giants. They moved the Marlins to become the Giants originally. That was the first one. Then the Padres, and then we have that Indianapolis from Hat Club, that like IA, the Arrows or something. And then we had the Expos move, and then everybody in Buffalo was like, "Oh, we better elect this mayor because he's going to get us Major League Baseball." But I knew it wasn't going to happen because none of our stadiums are even in that kind of shape. And then we got the Blue Jays this year, and it doesn't make sense. It's going to go to a place like Vegas. But how do you do it? That's what I want to know.
Speaking of the Raiders stadium, a cool thing about that, they use natural grass. They actually tow it in with a tractor. I was watching a video about Legion Stadium when it first opened up. They tow the whole field out with a tractor because they wanted to get sunlight. I thought that was pretty cool rather than just putting in turf.
That's sweet. We actually have when you're driving on the thruway, it's called Batavia Turf. and you could just look off the side of the throughway, and it's just perfect lawns, like the most perfect lawns. And they're all perfect. Like you look over there and just like, I could pull over and just look at the lawns, crack a beer, and just be like, this is what's up. I could imagine this in a ballpark. I could imagine this at the sportsplex. And like all the kids that are playing at all these sportsplex around here, they're getting Batavia turf, man. This shit is real. It's out there. It's in our communities. I just think that Oakland is probably not going to be keeping the A's much longer, and I don't think it's kind of on the same balance sheet as the Warriors when they got those Oakland jerseys, which I was like, I don't know if they're really in Oakland. Like they use LA and they're Golden State, but they're not in Oakland.
Right. Well, Oakland, I kind of feel bad for Oakland in a way because they don't have a very good track record with holding on to their sports teams.
Yeah, the Raiders left twice, right?
Right. You
And
know,
then you got St. Louis and the Rams.
they've lost, how many hockey teams did they lose? They had the
Seals, right?
the Seals.
Yep.
They started off the Oakland Seals, then became the California Seals, the Golden Seals, and then, that's gone. So
I don't think California is really the hockey state they say it is. And when they do Hockey Day in America and they say, well, California is one of the biggest producers of hockey players, I go, but how many make it?
Yeah, but like I think like Boston and Buffalo, I think hockey, Chicago, like the cold weather places.
Like we have an actual, like when you go to the Harbor Center, which is across from the arena, it's a 7-story building. 5 of it is ice rinks. And they have synthetic ice, and they have, all these places for everybody to be playing. There's always clinics going. That place is booming constantly.
Yeah, Boston has all the college level teams like BC, BU, UMass Lowell has a really good hockey team. And all these guys are coming up out of.
But it's not just history. It's like they bring these guys back. They run clinics. They have tons of pros coming in and out of here running clinics for.
They grew up in Boston too because they grew up watching the Bruins. They want to play hockey.
Exactly. And he's bringing out the Ottawa.
Okay. Now I'm born and raised SoCal. This is my team. I won't even get into the story about how I became an Ottawa Senators fan, but I grew up, I knew about the LA Kings, the whole Gretzky thing, with that big trade brought them, the Kings they say that without Gretzky coming to LA, there would be no Ducks, there would be no Sharks, there would be no hockey in the Sun Belt, all that stuff. But I'll tell you, when the Ducks came in and there was all the hoopla about the Ducks coming in, there were so many people overnight who thought they were hockey fans. And I used to go to Ducks games when the Senators would play. I'd go see them, when they do their West Coast swing. So I'd always go to check them out playing the Ducks and then the Kings. And sitting in the stands and listening to the fans around talk about the game, it was almost embarrassing. He had so little knowledge of the game. And I'm not, I didn't get into hockey until my early 20s, but being a Senators fan, I watched the games. I would watch the East Coast games. I would watch the Senators play. So I got a really hardcore education because I was watching the people who knew what they were talking about. I interacted with people who hockey was their lives. And then seeing the fans on the West Coast, it's like, oh my God, you guys are embarrassing. And that's, and no offense to the Ducks and the Kings fans, but especially Ducks fans, largely, yeah, the hockey knowledge out here is nothing compared to what you guys have back there.
Well, I want to touch on that because I trade cards with
tonight with that one.
I trade a lot of cards with the guy from North Carolina, and his home team is the Hurricanes. And I would say something about hockey, and he'll just say to me, bro, I don't know what you're saying, but there's this $20 box with all these rookies in it. It's got Kaprizov, it's got Dylan Cousins, it's got anybody you would want right now. There's actually a couple Senators in this box. It's $20. And people sell these cards for $80 to $100, just one of them. And he goes, oh, what do you mean? Like, there's hockey cards on the shelf all day. I go, bro, just buy one box. You'll make tons of money. But the number one thing I do whenever I go to a game, and it doesn't matter what it is I'll go there. That's the Kaprasov card. And if the Wild get him under contract, he's going to make a hell of a lot of money. But the point is, whenever I go to a game, I try to find the 2 or 3 people that talk baseball or hockey or whatever, or I'll find that little kid that Norris. Yeah. And that kid he's got everybody's card. He's got 2 of them. And he goes, oh, that guy, you want his autograph. You know, and I've always been that kid in my stadium. So if you came to my stadium, I would tell you, oh, go get Victor Martinez, go get Ryan Garco, go get Jim Tomei, you know, and I would throw them out there. And if you didn't know, like, you know, and I had like a good relationship with a lot of the players because I was always there. My dad had season tickets. We were always there. And it made sense that, you know, we had handshakes with the players and I had a little handshake with Victor Martinez when I was growing up, and people didn't understand. They're like, you're like 6 or 7 years old. How do you have a handshake with a AAA baseball player? He's about to go to the majors. And it's about the relationship you gain with the player. And it really makes everything that much more special. That like when we had that game where it would start at 10 in the morning and you would go from school and Victor Martinez would hand me a ball instead of anybody else in my grade, they would be like, what has he got?
So as far as Boston goes, I'd say the king for Boston is probably the Red Sox. Like everybody knows about the Red Sox. They talk about it in kindergarten and read the book, The Curse of the Great Bambino. Especially after they broke the curse of the Big Bambino. Like everybody was all about the Red Sox. And then the Patriots, because they're 20 years of dominance around here too. The Bruins won in 2011. That's when I think it really reached its peak. And then this core now reached it against the Blues and lost. There was a lot of hockey fans. The problem with me as a kid, hockey wasn't a big thing because of all the lockouts and everything like that. It was hard for me to follow it. Because a lot of people, my family was Red Sox, football, stuff like that. But I've gotten sucked into it, and I love the physicality of it. I can't really watch basketball because it's not like it when I was younger, when I was a kid. Like in the 2000s, the physicality's not there. The fouling and everything like that just bothers me. It's hard to watch, like them just take 3-pointers back and forth and work them. I know how you guys feel about basketball like that. That's why I got into hockey, because hockey is actually more fun to watch.
I grew up watching the Showtime Lakers, so I have a completely different perspective.
Yeah, his perspective is going to be like, we were winning and we sink a 3 and it would be Kobe. But then,
not Kobe, Magic Johnson and
Johnson and Bird and,
McHale.
Lakers and Celtics and finals, and
that's a completely different animal. Like,
I was always with LA. That was a big thing around LA.
Getting worked, and it's funny that this still goes on, but mid 80s, watching the Lakers and the Celtics in the finals, and when those games would go to Boston, hearing the chant at the guard to that beat LA chant, and me being like 13 years old and being like pissed off, like those guys, it was crazy, just the intensity of that rivalry. And I hated Kevin McHale, hated him. Oh, here we go. And then when they expanded, I chose the Timberwolves. I wanted to, because I kind of was born into the Laker greatness, and so I kind of felt like I didn't earn it. So when they expanded the NBA, I chose a team, and of course, naturally, the team I chose was the Timberwolves, who haven't done anything.
That's okay, because the team I chose was naturally by affiliation of baseball. So Up until this year, they were a joke.
But then who ends up being the general manager or president of the Timberwolves? Kevin McHale. Yes.
He knew it.
You know,
I knew what he was doing. I knew what he was doing.
So I'm like, this fucking guy, it's like I hated him.
So all
In
the
the 80s.
Boston fans,
I just-
all
it's
the Boston
like-
fans were mad about that when that happened, and then they were also mad about Larry Bird being the coach for the Pacers when I was a kid. When I was a kid, they used to chant Larry Bird sucks at the Garden whenever he played the Pacers, which is
See,
crazy.
we never had that because we never had basketball. We had all these hopes and dreams of getting another team because we have an arena. And then they tore the odd down. And they were like, "Fuck basketball. We got hockey." And now we're like, "We don't want hockey."
Garden is a cool city, cool used stadium, so the Bruins and the Celtics both play at the same stadium.
This is the only basketball jersey I got.
They literally lay the ice on top of the parquet floor. It's a cool process they do.
It's the only basketball jersey I got.
I bought this with intent to wear it to go to a game with my father.
That's
then-
nice.
The COVID stopped the season.
That's a fitted I keep passing up on. Is that the Braves?
Yeah, it was
Down authentic. Right after he wore it, I ordered a swingman.
That's nice. And
Yeah,
I do. The only reason I have a Celtics hat in my collection is because of KG.
yeah, Kevin Garnett.
That's
That
the
was-
only reason.
That was the title I saw when I was a kid,
And
2008.
I rooted for Boston that year, which, going through that in the 80s, the Lakers Celtics rivalry, it was hard for me, but I wanted to see Garnett get a ring because there was no way he was going to get one in Minnesota. So I was happy for him.
Yeah, this Pierce, he was my favorite player growing up as a kid. Like sticking thin to Boston. That trade kind of stomached me bad in basketball. Even though it paid dividends, Boston. The only reason Boston's good now is because of that trade, where they shipped off KG, Paul Pierce, and I forget the other person they threw in the Nets, but they got all those picks.
I got that hat you should be wearing.
Yeah, Hat Club canceled me on that one. Way back when.
I know. I just had to taunt you a little bit because there's not many ways I can get to you right now.
Just bring up the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins today. Ain't no fucking way there's gonna be a Dolphins hat in my collection.
No, that running back killed us. Two fumbles. They were literally on the yard line. Belichick, everybody was like getting ready. They're gonna kick the field goal. He gets the first down and he fumbles it. I'm just like,
I don't care who you are. There's no way that I will put a Jets or a Fins hat in my shit.
yeah, I like the Bills. I have quite a few Bills hats from you now, but I don't think I'd ever do Jets or Dolphins.
Yeah, because everybody agrees with Squish the Fish. Oh, he had one, the orange. Ooh.
They are clean. I love the Miami colorway on them.
Is that the forest green, like the Kelly green under, or is that you're wearing?
Oh, that's
That one's. I like that.
Is that the other reverse? Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
that is
Miami
sharp
has
though. That is
some-
sharp.
This is right before they changed the logo. So I went and I grabbed these. I went to, where did I get these? I think I got these at either my local lids or I did get these at Hat Club. No, I got them at my local lids and they had both of them. And so I grabbed one of each just because I figured that they were going to that lame logo they have now. So I wanted to get the one that had the pissed off dolphin.
Speaking of lame logos, what do you think of the new Chargers logo? Those jerseys are hideous too. They look like
Well, they added the little Rams thing right here, so that you know that they're the Rams.
numbers look like someone plastic dipped them on. Like this is no, have you seen that? Like the jerseys themselves, they look like someone took blue plastic dip and like.
Well,
Who are you talking about?
he's talking about the Rams logo and the new jersey.
Oh my God. And see, I grew up an LA Rams fan, and
I love those throwbacks. The Dickerson era throwbacks that they
That's
were
what
wearing.
and I will tell you, as somebody who I dropped them like a hot potato when they moved to St. Louis. I mean, it was immediately, growing up, Rams were my favorite team. Seahawks were my second favorite team. So Rams went to St. Louis. Seattle just by default became my favorite team. The Rams immediately went to my least favorite team, and I hated them. I hated the owner, and I'd always said, I'll go back to being a Rams fan, but there's three things that have to happen. One, they got to move back to LA. Two, the owner has to no longer be associated with the team, whether that be because she sold the team or she died. I was not picky about that.
She's 98.
Oh, she's dead.
Today. She's 98.
Georgia Fernieri, she's dead.
Oh, wait, no, that was the Bears. The Bears.
Yeah, the Bears and the Captains.
Georgia Fernieri, she died. That was 2008 when I believe she died. And then they have to go back to those Dickerson era jerseys. And so she died. And there's one. Mm-hmm. They moved back to LA. That's two. And I was just waiting on those jerseys. And it's like, God, would I really go back to being a Rams fan? And then when they went to those cartoon plasticky looking jerseys, I was kind of like, that's an easy decision. There's no way. I'm not rooting for that.
All right. We're not going to say.
I'll tell you, as an old school Rams fan, we wanted that look back.
Yeah, the old one.
But I understand why they did it, because they're not marketing to the old, to the old school. They're marketing. They want a new generation, and so that's what they were marketing to. So I get it. I applaud them, but they can have it.
I'm the youngest guy here. I like the older stuff. I don't know. Now I'm considering picking up a Rams jersey. Now they got Stafford. I was looking at Mitchell and Ness stuff earlier on eBay. Well,
there was a moment today where one of the receivers on the Lions looked at Goff, and I'm 95% sure that I read his lips correctly.
He's like, "We really traded for this mother?"
I can't believe we traded Stafford for your ass. I swear, I paused it and everything. I rewound the game. I was like, did he just say that? So, yeah, they're on that shit right now.
No, I just wanted to say those new Rams jerseys, they're hard to look at. I was watching that game and I was like, they're finally good, but the jerseys,
Yeah, I mean, you can't fool me. I would have liked the Dickerson era jersey. I don't know what they're doing with the word mark. And then there was some bullshit on the back. I was like, all right, so hear me out. This is what I think of the Rams logo. It looks very phallic. That's all I got.
Are you a Sabres fan too?
Yeah, I don't have any of them up here. I might have one up here.
But is that your team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Bruins, obviously.
We're gonna be first to 32nd. I'm calling it here.
Well, being that we're in the same division, I gotta say, out of oh, that's sweet. What's funny about that logo is it was largely ridiculed when it first came out. Not as bad as the Slugs. That was terrible.
The Trump weave, and we also called it the oh man. Yeah, we called it the Trump hair and the comb over.
But it's funny how something that was once terrible is now something that's sought after, Yeah, it's really interesting. But
this is actually when I first started getting into like restoring the hats and everything, when everybody started learning about like how I try to get into what I've been doing, this was one of the first snaps I got. And I restored the crown on this bad boy. And a guy downtown at a vintage shop offered me $55 for this.
That's nice.
I mean, it looks brand new. Slight curve, nothing inside. There's no sweat in there. I mean,
Well, you did a bang up job on that Red Sox hat that you did.
I did one for TJ recently. It's all about the love of the game. I'm not going to preach anything other than that. If you wear your hats or you don't wear your hats, you need something done, I do them. I'm not charging an arm and a leg. There's companies out there that want $50, $60, $70 for deep cleaning. And I cleaned that Boston hat up for him there. And
there's some special meaning to it, John. So that 2018, my grandfather, who was a diehard Red Sox fan, he passed away that year. And he passed away in July. So one of the last times I went to see him in the rehab facility before he kind of fully shut down, we sat down and watched Chris Sale's last start. And he was wearing this hat. And he said that they were going to win the title that year. He said, I feel it's this year. We were sitting there, we watched Chris Sale dominate, then they shut Chris Sale down, then he passed away. Then I didn't think anything was going to happen. Then that magical postseason run where they set the 100-game winning record with Cora and everything. So after they won the title, I went to opening day. And I brought some of his ashes with me because when I was a kid, he used to take me to opening day. But this hat had a lot of special meaning to it after he passed away.
That was actually his hat that he wore?
No, so this was one I bought. I think I bought with him when I was out. This is one of my first fitteds when I first got back.
Okay, I see.
Fitted hats. This is actually a 7.5. I wear like a 5/8 and 3/4 now, depending on if I want to curve the brim up or not. But yeah, this was like one of the first hats when I got back into hats at high school, like around high school. That we used to go to games all the time when I was growing up. He had a stroke and we couldn't go to games, but we used to go watch games. We used to sit in the gazebo, listen to the Red Sox. I don't have a personal connection with the Angels like that.
Yeah, TJ, that's why I wear Angels hats around on certain days. So a lot of people might not understand, but that like they might just say, hey, cool Angels hat, or they might not, but having the angel on my head makes me feel better.
Yeah, I remember you posting about that with the old Angels logo, John.
Yeah, that I really like the wing logo, but the California Angels right there, that's one of my favorites too.
So this hat, because I grew up an Angels fan also, and then became a Rockies fan when they came into existence. This logo here is actually my favorite Angels logo because when my dad and I, funny thing actually, it was, don't laugh, 39 years ago today that I went to my very first Major League Baseball game.
Wow, that's eerie.
September 12th, 1982. My dad, we went to Anaheim Stadium and watched the Angels play the Blue Jays. And we went to and the Angels won that day. But we went to a lot of games in the 80s, and this was their logo. But my dad was a big Angels fan. He wore, he had the mesh hats that he was into. So, but I got him his first fitted cap, which was actually this one. It was this logo. And when he passed away in 2005. This is the hat I bought him, the very hat. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
that's a worn hat.
He wore the heck out of this hat. And it's a size bigger than mine, but it fits, you can see the
even the curves on too.
Yeah.
This is something that's super special to me, just not only because I bought him the hat, I actually bought him this hat, but that he wore it for years and years after I bought it for him. So this is a really important hat to me.
That's similar in the way I bought my dad his first Expos fitted. I bought his first Bison's hat and his first Brewers alternate. So he's got like 5 fitted hats right now. He's 64 years old. He has 5 fitted hats, and together we have about 3,000. But
Slowly creeping up there, guys.
only 3,000, nothing big.
I'm almost up to 400. I've only gotten serious like the last couple of years, and it keeps growing.
But you know, he goes out, like he got me the authentic sweater. He's got the authentic sweater and the authentic shorts and the, you know, if we walked into a clubhouse tomorrow, you think like we belong there. So, you know, he definitely homaged my style back by doing that. Like right now he's got on the Bills sideline sweater, the Bills practice shorts, and his Bills fitted. So you know, it's the same kind of stigma, and you know, he's carrying on what I would like to pass on to maybe, you know, my kids at some point if I have them or whatever. But he's definitely he's pulling his horse the same way I am, you know. Like we got these watches, and I got one with like baseball wood or something in it, and he's got one that has like a similar look to it. You know, he got the silver, I got the rose gold, and we just started, we stylistically share a lot of the same looks. So that makes me very happy that you shared that hat with him like that, and the way that you connected with your father like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I really
I
miss.
didn't bring up such a tough topic, but it was just like something I thought I would like.
I know, yeah.
It really meant a
You
lot.
let him finish.
Yeah.
It's all right.
No, I was just saying that's, you know, it's kind of ironic that gets brought up on this day, you know, that you know, I always think about that this was, you know, the anniversary of my very first Major League Baseball game. You know, I was 12, and you know, it was quite a drive. It took us about 90 minutes to get to the stadium, you know, and when you're 12 and you're not used to driving those distances, it was a long way. But the one thing, you know, and I've been to, between major and minor league baseball, I've been to several hundred games in my life, but I will never forget, it's burned into my brain, the first time walking through that tunnel and seeing the field, the Major League Baseball field, for the first time. Just the smell, the green, you know, and this is old Anaheim Stadium. This is when it was still, the Rams were still playing football there, so it was completely enclosed. But yeah, that's something that I'll never forget. It's a memory I'll treasure for the rest of my life.
I agree. It definitely, you know, we're not trying to be hard here, but it's definitely heartfelt that you feel that way. And I just hit my 30th Major League Stadium this year, and my like 75th park overall. After my vacations, I got to see Fenway for the first time, and I put on a Red Sox jersey, which I swore I would never do.
It was Pedro, so it was Expo. So
it was Expos. And you know, to be honest with you, I had chills walking in that stadium. It was unlike anything I had almost ever experienced before. And I get this feeling of joy walking into the Bison's Park. You know, it's always been Dunn Tire or the Rock Pile. And when I get in there, and I took my pops the other night, Saturday night here for 9/11, I wore the FDNY Mets hat, and I had the Bison's Met, and it seemed like nobody was wearing like game used jerseys anymore. Like suddenly something changed, and I was like, what changed though? And it just had me thinking, like, you know, but like when they said, hey, first responders stand up, I stood up, and then the two vets around me, they stood up, and I walked over to them and I shook both their hands and I thanked them, and I said, you know, he said first responders, but also thank you. And this one guy stood up like 5 times, and he goes, you know, you think they tell you when to fucking stand up or something. So, you know, like you just find the people that you jive with, and it seems to always give off an essence of yourself, and people seem to gain that charisma through that.
Well, a funny story. I told John when we went to the Red Sox game against the Phillies to look out because we were sitting in center field in the grandstand at Fenway Park. I told him he had to look out for a certain seat because the longest home run ever hit in Fenway Park. They colored the seat red where the ball landed for Ted Williams.
Guess what seats we bought?
Right above that one.
Nice.
That was like the best part.
That's amazing. Though. That's. I mean, I've never been anywhere near Fenway, but I can only imagine you go into a place like that and just the sense of history. You know, what has happened within the confines of that ballpark. You know, over the last 100+ years is just, it would be overwhelming almost just to imagine that.
That's definitely like
I was very overcome with emotion. I know TJ has been there a bunch of times, but when I stood in there and I took my sunglasses off, I took my hat off, and I kind of just looked around. And I was trying to imagine what it was like in 1900 and just baseball and just the things that went on in that park. And and then I put my head down, I put my hat up, and then I put it over my chest, and there was so many, I wanted to tell everyone there that I was tributing them, but without giving my tells away. If you couldn't tell that I was just what emotions it was like to be in a place like that.
I've often thought about what must it have been like, not just Fenway, but any of those older parks, to go to a game, in a jacket and a tie and wearing a fedora and smoking a pipe, with everybody else, and just what must that atmosphere have been like, where they're out there calling, they got the big old bullhorn and they're yelling out the lineups and just
some of those parks were so quirky too, like the Polo Grounds.
Oh yeah,
that was 500 feet. Imagine you're sitting in the grandstands out in center field, you can't see anything.
100 feet to right.
Yeah. So it's just like the Fenway Park has the pesky pole in right field. That's a short porch for around here.
Do you think, though, in this day and age, because it seemed like a lot of those parks, the Polo Grounds and the places that they've torn down, you almost get the sense that they tore them down without a second thought, all in the name of progress, and it's I always wonder, do they ever think man, if we had to do that over again, we should have kept that park, almost like a museum or something historical or something. I think there's so much value in just the history. I mean, I know there's probably parks and apartments and condos and all kinds of crazy stuff there now, but
probably be Ebbets Field because that's where Jackie Robinson made his debut.
Yeah, and absolutely, yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example.
Yeah, John, I don't know how good this is going to be to see, but you can kind of tell. I put on the jersey and you can kind of see the atmosphere. We just stuck them to the environment, and it was just so magical that we didn't really care what we were wearing. We were just I became so flushed with emotion being there that it was magic, man. It's hard to describe, just being in the stands, and you want to put yourself back 100 years, and you want to know what it's like.
There's so many quirky things with the Red Sox too, the why they play Sweet Caroline in the seventh inning stretch, because the radio clerk for the Red Sox, the radio girl back in the 70s and 80s, she had to play something she liked that song. She used to play it in the background to kill the dead airspace, and the crowd would hear it and sing it. It became an unofficial thing.
Then stuff like that is cool, because there's probably a lot of fans that are younger that don't know that. It's just something that's always been there for them. They don't know the reasons why. They just know what they know. And it's neat to see something that's been carried down for, 40, 50 years like that.
Well, I have to say my two favorite thing are the announcers the Red Sox have. My two favorite announcers would be Jerry Remy. I got a signed baseball by him, and then Dennis Eckersley calls the games for the Red Sox. The stories they tell are just crazy. They'll just start talking about games from like the 70s. Like the connection I have with those two.
It gives me chills, like having those legendary announcers around, because when those guys are gone, baseball is just going to be like Matt Vasgersian, and it's going to be dry as fuck.
I feel like the Dodgers, Earl Hershiser's great, but he's no Vin Scully. I get goosebumps listening to Vin Scully.
Hey, well, even growing up an Angels fan, you know, we had Vin Scully, and you know, I wasn't a Dodgers fan. I've never been a Dodgers fan, but you can't find somebody, especially in Southern California, that would say they dislike Vin Scully. I mean, listening to Vin Scully is like listening to your grandfather tell stories. You know, you just can't help but be entranced by it, you know?
Yeah, some of my favorite anecdotes would be the word I would think you're looking for, like anecdotes that they say. Like Jerry Remy was talking about how they used to alter the ball. He played for the Angels at one point. He was a second baseman for you guys after when he left Boston for a little bit, then he came back. He said he used to pass around the infield with a sharpened part of his belt, and he'd scuff the ball up for the pitcher. It's like stuff like that, like those little things, like stuff like you hear about like that. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I feel fortunate that I grew up when I grew up, because I got to see a lot of things that, you know, I mean, guys like you, I mean, you know, you guys are younger, you hear about them, and I got to actually experience them. I mean, you know, laterally, not directly. I mean, it's not like I went to a lot of these ballparks or anything, but, you know, just seeing things as they happen, whether it would be on the news or something, you know, that I got to experience them as they happened. I feel really, really fortunate.
I'd say that 2013 after the marathon bombing, when David Ortiz came in their first homestand back after the marathon bombing, and he came out, we're wearing Boston on our jerseys. Boston. We're not the Red Sox. We're playing for our city. He goes, it's our fucking city. Everybody,
Right.
just like, that was something I'm never going to forget. That team went on a run. They were from last place to first. That's just like something I'm going to be telling my grandkids about.
Right. You know, that's cool. You'll have that same experience, you know, then, you know, to them, it'll be something that happened, you know, it's history. It happened. It's something you read about. You'll be able to say, yeah, I remember when, and there's just something really cool about that.
That reminds me of like the superstars, because we had Harry Canary, and we had you know, all these, but they went away because Harry Canary used to stand in the announcer's booth, and he just used to go, you know, and just, he's like, and I'll tell you, like, they all had their own. It was Roger Clemens, and he would eat the Bat Boy, and then the Bat Boy would run off in his underwear or something. And those were the history of players. Those were the guys that, all those guys had huge personas. Everybody knew about them.
Like Oil Can Boyd, that's another one.
I met him in Pawtucket.
Bill Lee, Spaceman Bill Lee. Hearing the stories about him, he was crazy. Yeah. I remember. Listen, he's still pitching in the Cape Cod League too, like 60 years old. College kids.
That's like Roger Clemens against his kids, where he threw one and his kid hit one off him and he fucking domed him.
Bill Lee goes guys out. Bill Lee's like, Boston doesn't make any sense. He goes, and I got called up going from Pawtucket to come to Fenway. I went into the city. I thought I took the right turn. I ended up in Chinatown. There was no cell phones. There was nothing like, you couldn't just call somebody and look it up on our phone. I had to keep driving around the city. Meanwhile, I have to show up for the game because I'm due to start. Because I finally found a Boston police officer. And some of the Red Sox players, my grandfather used to say, they used to take the train in to the stadium with the know them because they were in a suit and tie. You wouldn't really recognize them, and you wouldn't pay attention. It wasn't like it was impolite to like just bring it up. You just like see them sitting on the train having a coffee, reading the paper, doing the thing. It's like those interactions we like with like fans and everything like that. I'm so glad that they brought the Field of Dreams game and stuff like that to get more younger people interested, because I had that same like electric feel watching that, and it was so cool for Iowa to get their first major league game ever too. All those people that got that raffled off and got to go to that game are never going to forget it.
Easy. So like one of my big moments growing up, because I was a booster member of the Bisons, was let me show the jersey. It's this White Sox one. And I'll show you why that's significant.
Man.
Let me pull up the back of that one.
Stremski, wow.
Nice.
That's his that's the current Mike's uncle. And then his grandfather played for the Red Sox. So we're at the player dinner and Ryan Garco starts pulling out hundreds, like a fat bill. And he goes, how many is it going to take to get that jersey? Not that he could wear it. He wants this jersey. And I'm like 12, so I don't know what's going on. He puts like $5,000 on the table. And my dad's like, you don't sell that jersey. You don't even take that jersey off. Like, I've never seen so much money. I don't even know what's going on right now. He pulls out his checkbook. He goes, sir, how much is it going to take? And my dad's like, we're not selling it. And I've never had like he's about to, he doesn't know it, but he's about to get the call to Cleveland and get his big contract. But he's offering my dad with his checkbook in his hand. He has a pen that I just asked him for an autograph, and he is offering my dad whatever he wants on the check. And I was just like, what?
That's crazy.
I've never encountered such like it was such humanity and such, like honor and nobleship, but being around the players like that was so fun. Like you'd show up and you'd have their card and they'd be like, why is my face like that? And then his wife would be like, don't sign that. It was
What makes the minor league game so special for special?
like when a guy had a photo that was like, and his wife would be looking at the card like, what? They took that photo? They chose that photo? Send that shit back. Like, I heard all sorts of stuff. I played like badminton with Marty Brown and his kids. Like, those are the things that are never gonna explode to anything. But I know that when we had the Indians, that was the most we ever felt a family being with the players. And those guys were just one of a kind, because we don't get that with the Blue Jays. We never had that with the Mets and anybody else that we've had. It was never like it was when we were with the Indians. And I'll swear by that, because when Jim Thome lost a home run derby, it was the craziest shit. Not to Victor Martinez, actually the backup at the time, the backup catcher. He beat Jim Thome in a home run derby. He hits one off the parking garage, and everybody just goes nuts. And that was the whole story. Jim Thome gets like a single in they end up playing the Bisons in a game, and Jim Thome gets a single, and he's like, hey, I'm Jim Thome. And everybody's like, boo, you had a single. Like, we wanted dingers. And it was just something else, man.
Yeah, like the connection with baseball, like in sports in general for everybody, is so deep, especially for like we can all agree on that.
Yeah. what's his name? Victor. No, it was probably like it was like circa 2004. I can picture him. Like I can see it because they still have the spray paint in the parking lot where all the home runs were. And my parents took chalk and they circled it and they were like, that's where you're gonna hit a home run. And I was like, not likely, but I hope so. Oh man.
We all have such a deep connection to baseball, and that's why we collect all the hats that we do, and like the jerseys and everything, the cards. It's like that emotional connection from when you were a kid.
Right.
It's not exactly the same thing, but I've had a few instances, no big name players, but when I was into collecting the minor league jerseys, and I would actually contact the teams directly and say, hey, what do you have available in this size? And I wasn't into having a specific player. I wanted something that I could wear. So, so I had a specific need that I was trying to fill. Yeah. And so there were a couple of instances where I would, because I really I wanted to collect the Rockies affiliates more than anything. So I had a home and a road jersey from the Asheville Tourists. And the two players that these jerseys are beautiful. And the two that I got, I don't remember the players' names. I have it documented somewhere, but one of them, the next season, played for Modesto, who was a Rockies affiliate at the time. Yep. And so I went to a game. I went to a game where the Nuts were playing, and I wore that Asheville jersey, and I was down by where they were warming up, and I found that guy, and I'm like, hey man, I said, see this jersey? This was yours last year. And he got a good chuckle out of it, but it was just, not like I struck up a big conversation, but it was just kind of funny. He was just kind of like, kind of tripping out that I had his jersey, it was pretty funny. But that's one thing that's neat about minor league baseball, is that you can be so close to those players and have that kind of engagement with them.
I agree.
And that's something that I really miss. And when you showed those pictures of the jerseys, those Bison's jerseys, it kind of triggered me a little bit. Like I reverted back 20 years when I used to, troll the team websites and eBay and everything. And I'd see a picture show up of, it's like, and I just, that feeling I'd get like, oh, it would be so nice to have that jersey. Oh, but it's a size 44. Yeah, I can't have that. It's just like that feeling that I used to have when, and back then you could get a good game worn jersey for, $60-$70. They weren't super expensive.
That was like I had a Louisville jersey of the #1 pick in baseball. And my dad, I think he was trying to throw it out because it was like a size 42. It was like a shortstop or something. And there was another one where it was like the Ogden Raptors and the team that moved from like Portland to like, I tweeted Hat Club because I asked for the hat. And they were like, well, we did a crossover, but it wasn't the same. It was one of those teams where they moved and they plastered a new name on it from like Portland to Seattle. It was just weird.
In baseball?
Yeah. It was minor league. Yeah.
Portland. Well, I know Portland went to Salt Lake in the early 90s.
That might be it. I had a Salt Lake jersey. If I scroll here for a second, I might find it. But it was like you could see the actual where they tore off Portland or whatever it was for the other team's name. Not like when Seattle became the Brewers and they used all the lowercase letters instead of buying their own.
Yeah, I've got some jerseys. My Casper Rockies jerseys, they wore the same jerseys from 2001 straight through 2000. when did they become the Ghosts? 2008. They never refreshed their jerseys. So when those jerseys became available, they looked like they had been worn for 7 seasons.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Lots of scuffs, lots of
Yeah,
little,
and
you know,
to the right.
yeah. But I can still wear them, so you know, I'm happy.
I mean, there's a lot of picks in this frame. You got my season ticket holder mug. You got the Stampede. You got the Destroyers, the Sabres, the Stallions, the Mustangs.
Definitely have to do a part 2, which is getting a little late for us. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do this again, though.
Yeah, it was great. We can show some minor league stuff maybe next time. We have nothing compared to what you have drawn, but
We
I know
definitely wanted to. I still have them behind the couch there. I have all the Expos minor leagues because I wanted to be able to maybe at some point get in touch with you and have a minor league episode here. And we're definitely had a good time.
Yeah, I'm all for that. That's my minor league baseball as far as collecting. That's always been my passion. You know, it's especially the time frame, you know, from the late 90s into all through the 2000s. You know, I'm not really as much into it with the modern teams just because so much of it's different than it was then.
Yeah.
You know, so but I pick up something here and there if it catches my eye. But you know, with all the food hats and the
I like a lot of the theme, like some of the theme nights when they have like to the region, like the Moonshiners cap that came out for the Bowling Green with the copper brim. I really wanted that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that's really good. I mean, maybe this is something we can talk about. The like the Copa hats. Everybody just goes nuts for those Copa hats. And when they first did the first decent run of those, I think it was 30 some. Maybe it was it was 70, but the first year where they had
I think it was 36. Then they expanded. They doubled it.
And they started coming out with those names, you know. I thought some of them were really creative. The logos were great, and some of them were just lazy.
Yeah, the current one is the one for the Red Sox affiliate, the Woo Sox, say the Los Wapis. And
I tried to do wash your hands, but I gotta get okay. Let me see here. I tried to do a wash your hands, but spell it out minor league style because they did it on their Twitter. But I'll have to send it to you direct so you can see it there. But I would take all the teams where they had the, you know, whatever letter and just set it up. And then, you know, obviously here and there I've set up ass hat and just said, hey, these are my favorite hats right now.
Well, for a while the standings were that way in the
They were.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, I'm down for that. If you guys, you know, when you want to do something that's just minor league, you know, I mean, I got a ton of vintage jerseys, you know, well, now they're vintage. They weren't vintage at the time, but you know.
They were brand new. Here it is.
Oh, that's Trappers.
Yeah. Edmonton Trappers went to Salt Lake. And I asked Hat Club, I said, do you ever get something to match this? Set the MILB record for most victories in a row.
Yep.
And somebody commented back to me, said this jersey's beautiful. And that was it. That was the whole thread. I go, really, dude? That's all I got on a Salt Lake jersey?
Well, like, sadly, the market for fitteds now is all those fashion hats and the colored UVs and all the other stuff. Like the like on-fields aren't doing as well, like stuff like that.
And just like a final note here, I did get to talk to my store's merchandising manager. Ooh, Quad Cities Angels. Ooh,
it's a snap, but you know, this is one I'd like to see.
Please admire my like knowledge on the logos.
Well, the minor league, it's cool because the minor league, you can tell what team it is half the time because based on how they do the logo.
But a lot of you know, like in this logo, I have the BP hat, and it's got a lot more of like our buildings in the background, so that the skyline differs from the New York skyline. So there's actually a lot of huge differences. And when you get an artist that really cares about what they're doing, like I have a couple of the t-shirts that show a lot of the great skyline of our city. It really, it makes you appreciate the guys that are going out and making these logos and doing that kind of stuff for us.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do a minor league episode. Just wrap it up for.
I appreciate that he's wearing a Bison's hat right now too. And you're wearing your
Do
fucking
they
Reds hat.
Do they still offer this hat?
That is not worn on field right now.
Okay. Yeah. When I was in Buffalo for the Crew Era 13 trip, they took us because they had a suite there, so they took us all to a Bison's game, and they actually gave us where are you?
That red one was worn with our white. Yeah, that's the one we wear now.
So they gave us this new, we all got this hat. This was waiting for us in our hotel rooms.
Oh.
So when we went to the game, I'm like, I need to get something. I mean, it's sweet. Now I've got a Bison's hat, but I want to get something else. And I chose this one. I believe it was the road. It's the road hat, isn't it?
That was like the road / Sunday alternate, because we have a red that they would only wear that one with. And now they have one that's coming out right now that looks like they put the Blue Jays number stripe through it. If you're familiar with their letter.
I love that green one that you have, John. That green one that you said you got from that manager.
Oh yeah, let me pull that up for John so he knows what's going on here.
Oh yeah, this one. This is from the team store there. So
he's talking about the green with that one.
I know which one. Yeah, and you got the jersey too. Are those jerseys? Those are your jerseys in that picture?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually the one that triggered me, because I saw one of those on eBay dozens of times and I passed it up because it wasn't in my size. It's one of those things like, nobody would buy it, so they would just repost it. It just teased me for years.
Yeah, I have the Dave Roberts, I have the Marty Brown hat, the Greg LaRocca hat, and the Dave Roberts hat. And then I have the Dave Roberts jersey, which I don't care if it was 100 sizes too big, I would have bought it. Or if he didn't give it to me or whatever. I was begging those guys for hats, and I was like 12 when they won the Governor's Cup. So you just imagine me behind the dugout, and I have the video where we'll have to show the clip at some point where I'm begging over the dugout, like, yo, I need your hat. And they're throwing hats to me, all of them, from Marty, Greg, Dave, they're all just throwing hats up to me. And they're like, that's for the hat kid.
I wonder, John, if you wrote Dave Roberts, if you remember it.
Well, the only guy that has remembered me was Jason Stanford. He's actually the coach of a community college out in Ohio right now, outside of Cleveland. And I had his nameplate from when he has the Bison's record for most strikeouts in a season. And I sent him his nameplate, and he returned it to me. So it was awesome. I met him at a Doubledays game. He was like the spokesperson for the chiropractic agency or something out there. And he was like, yeah, I'm just doing a stint out here. And I started talking to him, and he goes like, how old are you? And I go, I'm only, like, I was 26 at the time, but I remembered shit from 20 years ago. And he just couldn't believe what was going on. And just like my memory and my recollection of having such a good team in the city, it really brings you to the forefront. So I was really happy about that. And it's just cool.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll keep going. I think we should we'll break it tonight and reconvene at a later time.
Yeah, so what we always like to say, right, TJ, is peace,
love,
Caps. Thanks for coming on, John. We had a great time with you.
Yeah, thank you. You're awesome. It's like an awesome resource to have. Wealth of knowledge is amazing.
Yeah, can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll cut it now.